Hey, Team Legendary. We are here live on Facebook because we are going to let our viewers in on what the pool team does on the weekend. So I'm going to give this to Al. He's going to set it up, and then we are going to hear from Kaylee and Zach to cover the untold story by Al. So yeah, Al, tell us about what does a pool team do on the weekend? And if you want to just start at the beginning, that would be great.
We worked all weekend. Some of what we've done in the past when not doing pool work is we've done housework, and we have housework, building and working on houses and renovation. And we had for my family, I have a special needs family. Several of my older siblings have special needs, and we're helping in building a house for them with my brother-in-law and sister who take care of them. And so it's a few hours from here, heading north, and we do have a camp up there. So we worked there all day yesterday, and then got that finished, got our part done, which was the kitchen and the bathrooms. And then we went to the camp last night, had a fire, and we got up this morning and went fishing. And I think that's what Sandy was mentioning is really cool for me, is I got to share something that has truly been the love of my life for 40-some years. I have always loved the river and loved to trout fish. And Zach had expressed an interest in fly fishing some months ago, and I kind of set him up as a birthday gift. I set him up with some basic, some new, some used equipment, just kind of something to get his feet wet, to try it, and to see if he was going to like being on the river. And we got to go out this morning, and Kaylee came out as well, and we fitted her with an oversized set of waders so that she could be in the water as well, and we kind of had a good time. But for me, it was a bit of a dream come true, because I was getting to share with people that I care about. I was sharing with them something that I've truly been in love with for so long. It's been, in some respects, the love of my life. It's been my escape, my ability to clear my head and get away for a little while and let the river literally talk to me. And to have them be able to walk for the first time, walk in the river and walk in waders. That Kaylee made the comment that it's weird to walk in the river and not get wet, because she's, knees or thigh deep in water, and her legs are staying dry because she was in waders. So when I got back to the office, I was expressing to your mom how cool that was, and she now made us do this.
Go live on Facebook and explain it.
There's that's from my end, was just being able to witness through a fresh set of eyes what it is to experience the river and experience how different a river can be. And this was just one river, and from place to place how different it is. And then if they grow the love for it, they'll start experiencing all the different rivers. And as well, how do you find them? How do you get there? I think that was a little bit of a surprise to you guys as well. Maybe you can share that on. When I talk Louis L'Amour and how his westerns taught me life lessons, one of the life lessons it applies right now is every trail has a reason. No one made that trail for no reason. And the old cowboys and the pioneers of the West knew that a trail meant water. They meant there was something there, because why else would you walk the same trail over and over and over for thousands of years? It had to go somewhere. And that's the same today. If there's a 2-track driving track going back into the woods somewhere, someone's been going somewhere. There's something there. And in this case, I think it was their first experience of just sort of getting off a road, and all of a sudden you drive back through a bunch of potholes of water and you're back by the river. So
who wants to go first? Kaylee or Zach? All right, Zach, it was just your birthday. Tell us about it. What did you get? And did you get to use any of it this weekend?
Yeah, fishing-wise, I got to use all my stuff this weekend. I got fly rod, reel, vest, waders. I forgot the net at home. But I didn't really catch anything, so
it was okay. And he did find out that the waders leak.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
opening a pool.
whether they're brand new or they're old, waders tend to leak, and he was helping Mark close a pool, and he wore them, and he found out they leak.
Well,
Fortunately, high enough up. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah,
they
they're
leak
high enough
though.
up.
So had you ever been fly fishing before? And like, give me one thing you learned from your experience with Al.
Yeah, no, this is my first time fly fishing. I've always just done bass fishing, pike fishing, stuff like that. I think the biggest thing that I learned from Al today was how much I love just walking through the river and just looking around. I mean, the fishing part is fun and all, but I think just taking everything in and just enjoying the outdoors was probably the biggest thing. Because, I mean, I spent a lot of time outdoors, but never in a river. That's always something that I've wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that today with Al. So that was probably the best part.
Heard there might have been a real old timer on the river with you as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What?
He just kind of,
What was up with that?
I don't know. He just kind of walked by, and Al told him that we were first-time fishermen, fly fishermen anyway, and he kind of came over to me, put some, what's it called?
The dry fly on
Yeah.
your fly.
Yeah, so
That's what he did. Cool.
so it would float, and he made the comment, what did he say?
His comment was great. I can't remember. I hope you remembered exactly what it was, but at least the comment I heard.
Al said that we were wanting, or that he was trying to teach us, and the old guy said it's a matter of if he wants to learn, or something like that.
Yeah, if it, something to that effect that.
Yeah.
Well, only if he really wants to learn.
Right.
And that's kind of what I say about it, is that you really have to want it to do
Right.
this particular thing,
Mhm.
and then to have this old guy that I've never seen in my life walk by and reflect kind of that really similar thing that, well, I'll teach him if he really wants to learn.
Right.
And it's because it's one of those things that this style of fishing is more about the spiritual part of it. I mean, there's the fish and the fun, but you mentioned it, the fact that you're just on the river in a whole different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it just takes you and transports you to somewhere else, which is amazing.
It's definitely not something that you could just pick up and go and be good at it. You have to take your time and learn.
Oh, you're going to pay your dues. You're going to pay your dues doing it, but the benefit is just the life part. Not even the fishing, but the life part is where you're paying your dues by doing the action, but the reward is sensational.
So let's talk about the dogs. What happens when you have dogs at the river? And then tell us about Kaylee today.
So while they fished upriver, I let the dogs out because the puppies love the water. And Callie just spent the last 4 or 5 days this past week when I went on my annual fishing trip with me, and she was in the water all the time. She was amazing. Penny and I have spent the last 8 years fishing together, and she finally retired her position and gave it up to her baby girl. And then we also had Levi with us, and he loved the river. They were just bounding and jumping between, because it's deep, so then they're swimming, but then when they get their feet, they were bounding and playing. And just a cool experience for them to just be a part of it in their own way, being part of nature.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then now we have Kaylee, who was fortunate enough. It was fortunate for me that you were there. I love to see your excitement and your exuberance toward this whole different world, this whole different thing. And Kaylee caught some fish, which was really cool, and got to experience some trout fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do we have any photos of the fish? Go ahead and set that up for me.
She might have some. I don't, but I know I took some of her with her phone. So whether she shares them or not, that's really up to her.
They're already on Facebook.
Nice.
So what was today for you? Fly fishing / worm fishing?
It was
Just
fun.
river fishing,
Yeah.
trout fishing.
I tried Zach's. Well, we tried by the trucks at first with the fly rods to get the feel of it, and then in the water I asked Zach if I could try it, and I did. And it was the same concept, and I went a long ways down the river. That way I didn't get stuck in trees at all, but even with my little ultralight I managed to get stuck in a few trees and needed help getting it out. The first part of the river that we walked in, it was very calm, and then by the time we got to the second part, it was like a night and day difference, because like walking, I was telling Zach, it sounds like you're walking like a tsunami is coming, because it's just so much louder and so much harder to push yourself through.
And it's dragging on you, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
And then the second spot, the rougher spot, is where I ended up catching my first fish, and I didn't bring my phone that time because I'm like, well, we already took pictures the first time, and then by the time we got down there, I was glad because the water was rougher, and I'm like, well, if I fall, at least I won't have my phone. And then we caught the fish, and I'm like, wow, I really wish I had my phone. So then Al held my fish for me, and I ran up and got it real quick to get our pictures again.
Yeah, I think the amazing thing, which always astounds me, is you see the fish in your hand, and you set it in the water, and it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And they're everywhere. As you're walking up the river, like you had mentioned, that you'd seen them in several places,
Right.
but it's like they just kind of fade in, and they're there, but you can't see them.
Yeah,
And then to catch them was really cool, and to see you guys catch them was really cool.
it was a lot of fun. I won. I caught 5.
She won. She caught 5.
Was there a contest?
No.
No, she just won anyway.
Yeah.
Caught brookies and browns. We did not catch a rainbow, but that way they could see the difference and try to point out the difference, so you learn something to know.
So, each one of you, how has something that you've learned fishing or on a river translated to what you know about the way water moves when it comes to building legendary escapes? Shall we go to Al first?
Where do you want me to start? I mean, literally my entire life's love affair with the river. That river in particular, we're on the Asable, and the north branch of the Asable is where I grew up as a little boy fishing, learning how water moves, because what happens, the longer you do this, the more you pay attention to how water moves and ripples and rolls over things and how surface tension works. And so that river where we were today is where I got all of my understanding about how water moves. And I've since then been able to fish all over the country. But to me, it's everything for me. Just the water in the river makes me think about everything I build. How would nature do it? Nature never builds in a straight line. It never builds in one color. There's always variation. There's always variety, and I see an awful lot of people doing what we do, building very symmetric bodies of water, and it doesn't make any sense because nothing in nature is symmetric, and water is a good example that it wears the earth down the way that it wears the earth down, and I try to use that in my design ideas and building ideas, that nothing is going to be what we expect it to be. It's going to be what nature creates it to be.
Kaylee or Zach?
So, in comparison to both spots of the river we were in today, how fast is the lazy river going to be?
It'll be closer to the first.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking for 1 to 2 miles an hour water, and that's, as it's spread out like that, that's why there's so much sand and silt there, as the water's really slow and it drops the debris out.
Mm-hmm.
But as you notice, as the river gets narrower and deeper, it's moving much faster, and we wouldn't want to put people through that. That'd be an uncomfortable push to push them around that fast.
Mm-hmm.
So we want them to go slowly, even probably slower than the first, but we want them to be moving. We just don't want them to stop. We want it to keep them gently moving, even if it takes them 20 minutes to get through there, but we need them moving. We don't want to push them through so that they're done in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to sort of a lazy river, so that they can enjoy everything we're going to build around that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, for us, this goes to nature, is what would people be expecting to see? And in our case, we're creating an artificial environment. So it could all just be boring, flat everything, or it could be boulders and rocks and things. And that's, so as you get on the river, pay attention to that. What you'll see, like where we were, that's pretty normal grade. But as you get like to the UP where everything is really steep grades, you get out of the river and the water or the ground goes up 40 feet straight up a rock face. So you see all these angles and rocks and things, and it kind of stimulates your mind, which on the river that we were at, and it was the only time I didn't have my phone, there was a part of the river where the water came and it bent around the corner, so it sort of cut a groove underneath the rocks. And I was thinking, how could we build these rocks where they kind of came up on an angle out of the water, so instead of going straight up, like, we build a boulder, but how could we build it so it starts at water level and comes up 4 feet before it comes up? That's what nature had done, and I thought, I wish I had my phone to take these pictures, because that would be cool on the lazy river, like going into the cave, building the rocks instead of just an opening. Instead, build the rocks up like that, so it kind of looks like this cave was carved out of, So I use that kind of stuff all the time in terms of my thought process on how we're building, but that's only because I've done it for so long and paid attention for so long. And that's what the more you spend time, you'll see some of that.
Sounds like Kaylee and Zach have some homework to do.
Oh darn, more fishing.
I know.
Oh,
Did the river teach you anything, Zach, in relation to pool building?
I was kind of watching the way, like when there's all sorts of just like logs or branches or whatever in the water, it's kind of cool to see how it kind of flows over it. And I feel like when it comes to like waterfalls at the pools there, it helps to see like the way that they can channel water one way or make it kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but
I get what you're getting.
Kind of bump over obstacles versus
like come
rolling.
Over, create a ripple in one spot, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess.
You might have to be on the river.
What people don't understand is water surface tension. I mean, every once in a while you see the picture of like the submarine in the ocean, and the water's it's like rolling over it. Well, it's the same thing, that log. You watch how the surface stays together as it ripples and rolls over the log or around something, or if there's a branch sticking out, and how it kind of peels the water.
Yeah.
You see that, how the water kind of peels apart. And that's the kind of stuff that we're not building nature, but we want to have some semblance of nature, at least when we're building more of a natural waterfall. So you want to think about how the water is going to peel out when it comes out here. If it drops down and comes over here, how's it going to go and how's it going to change? And that's where the river helps you, is you just see the water like rolls over a log, and it doesn't fall, it just sort of follows the shape. And then it eddies and it kind of whirls and twirls, and that's really fun to watch. When you get on some of the rivers that have big waterfalls, you think water is just rushing downhill. What happens is it hits the bottom of the waterfall, and when the water drops, it rolls underneath, so it creates this suction. You get these eddies where you'll throw your worm or your fly in there, and you'd think it would just take off downriver. Instead, what it does, it circles around and goes right back under the waterfall. Now, that doesn't make any sense. The water's rushing downhill. But what's happening is the center's rushing downhill, and the rest of it's rolling around like this. And the more you do that, the more you see it, then you realize how interesting water really is. It's not just water running down a hill and rolling. It's doing something. There's mechanics and physics behind it.
Right.
And that's another thing for me that I learn from nature every single day that I do this, is that there's all these things going on that we can't see, which makes the fishing all the more fun too.
All right. Any final thoughts or anything we should look forward to this week coming from Team Legendary?
More fishing is what I say.
More fishing? What about pools? Lazy rivers?
Yes, more
Once
pools.
upon a time. Oh my.
Oh my, there's so much good stuff going on the pool end too.
Right. And Zach's getting an education, working on pool service again in the closing, like craziness that is Legendary Escapes.
What's interesting about that too is you're seeing a lot of really more basic stuff.
Oh,
So you see a lot of basic pools and realize that's what most people build.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reflect back on how crazy we are. And you probably notice, we don't do this. We used to do that. We don't do that anymore.
Cool. Anything else? Thumbs up, wave. See you this week, and send in your requests for what you want to see more of, including if you would like to see some of this rippling water on the river. We can
We'll take you fishing.
encourage everybody to grab their phones when they head out fishing and show you what nature does with water.
It's actually a really cool idea. Having
Cool.
your phone and just those interesting ripples and just
Oh, yeah.
there's so much cool stuff.
Yeah? All right, we'll see you next time.
Oh,
Not yet.
not yet.
Al has a thought.
Life philosophy, something that you guys can pay attention to, is you never enter the same river twice. The next time you go there, it will be different, and the next time you go there, it will be different. And that's a life lesson, that never expect to get into the same river of life and have it turn out the same. It never will. It will always be different.
Will it be different, or will
Yes.
you be different?
Both. It inherently will be different, but you getting into that river inherently will be a different person, because now you have more life experience. Even if it's a day later, you have a day more of living that brings a new set of filters and perspectives to it. So don't ever expect to enter the same river, because it will be different each time, and primarily because you'll be different each time you get there.
All right.
That's it.
If you guys would like to see more water philosophy from the team, give us your thumbs up, share this, and we'll see you next time.